There are lives lived softly, in careful hesitation. People who have learned to hold themselves at a distance, from the world, from others, from their own deepest desires. They move through life with a quiet vigilance, as if every smile could fracture, every hope could dissolve, every expectation could wound. This is not indifference. It is a measured self-preservation, a protective fog that dulls both pain and pleasure. Each emotion is weighed, each connection tested, each anticipation tempered. In their quiet retreat there is safety, but also loss. Moments of joy pass like shadows, faint and muted. Intimacy becomes a fragile experiment, risk measured in tiny increment. And yet, behind the stillness, a pulse remains, a yearning to feel, to belong, to hope, even if cautiously. Understanding this subtle, self-imposed numbness is not about judgment. It is about witnessing the architecture of human resilience, the delicate ways the mind and heart protect themselves from repeated disappointment. In exploring why some people build these invisible walls, we come closer to the human truth. The paradox of wanting life fully, while fearing it deeply, and the quiet courage it takes just to exist behind the shield. There is a subtle moment when one first notices the shield. It is not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet awareness that something in the heart hesitates. Smiles feel measured, laughter controlled, excitement muted. Invitations are met with careful calculations. Will this bring joy or disappointment? Over time, these small choices form a rhythm, a pattern that feels natural, almost necessary. The shield is both protector and barrier. It softens the sting of hurt, but it also dims the vibrancy of experience. A person may find themselves observing life from a distance, feeling as though they are behind glass, close enough to see, far enough to avoid being touched. They may notice an emotional fog settling in after unmet expectations, a gentle numbness that is reassuring in its predictability. Recognition is not blame. It is simply awareness. To see the shield is to see the body's quiet attempt at survival, the mind's strategy to prevent repeated pain. In acknowledging this, one begins to understand the language of self-protection and the delicate tension between guarding the heart and experiencing life fully, a tension that defines much of the human experience. The roots of self-numbing often begin in quiet, tender moments of early disappointment. A child reaches for connection, a comforting hug, a word of encouragement, an acknowledgement of their feelings, and finds it absent. Over time, these small, repeated experiences teach the heart caution. Hope becomes risky, trust becomes conditional. Each unmet expectation leaves a faint scar, invisible yet insistent, shaping the way the individual approaches life. These early encounters are not always dramatic. They may be subtle. A parent too busy to notice, a friend who breaks a promise, a teacher who dismisses a small triumph. But their effect accumulates. Emotions once freely expressed begin to be measured, then muted. Joy is filtered, grief is contained, and vulnerability becomes a quiet gamble. The emotional beginning is not weakness, it is adaptation. The heart learns to anticipate disappointment, to prepare for its arrival, to soften its blows. In these tender early lessons, the architecture of numbness is laid piece by piece. Recognizing this origin is essential to understanding the delicate balance between protection and loss, and the careful, cautious life that grows from it. Behind every protective shield lies a story, woven from family, environment, and the subtle echoes of early experience. Attachment patterns form in the quiet exchanges between a child and caregiver, shaping expectations of safety, trust, and love. A withdrawn parent, a critical voice, or unpredictable care can teach the mind a silent lesson. Closeness is risky, and feelings are fragile. Trauma, whether large or small, leaves invisible fingerprints. A harsh word, a sudden loss, a sense of abandonment. These moments are cataloged, stored in memory and body alike. The mind learns to anticipate pain, and the heart builds walls before hurt arrives. Over time, these defenses become automatic, instinctive. Social and cultural pressures may add layers, whispering that disappointment is failure, that emotional expression is dangerous. The shield grows not only from personal experience but from the invisible weight of expectation. In exploring these origins, it becomes clear that emotional numbing is not arbitrary. It is deeply human. It is a response crafted by the interplay of early relationships, environmental signals, and inner sensitivities. Understanding this origin illuminates the protective architecture, showing that the numbing is not cruelty or indifference, but a careful, tender strategy for survival. The mind and body are intricately entwined in the dance of protection. When disappointment or emotional pain becomes familiar, the nervous system adapts. The brain's amygdala, its early warning sentinel, heightens vigilance, sensing potential threats even in ordinary interactions. Emotions are muted not by choice, but by biology. Cortisol and adrenaline rise, stress pathways engage, and a subtle numbness descends, dampening both fear and joy. Neuroscience reveals how reward systems and dopamine responses are affected. When hope is anticipated, the brain measures risk against potential pain. Over time, anticipation of disappointment suppresses pleasure, as if the mind whispers, "Better to feel less than to be hurt more." Emotional suppression becomes a learned pattern, repeated through experience and reinforced by habit. Psychology frames this as a survival strategy. Avoiding intense emotional exposure reduces the likelihood of repeated disappointment, but it comes at a cost. Disconnection from intimacy, creativity, and spontaneous joy. The body remembers before the mind does, signaling protection through tension, withdrawal, or subtle avoidance. Understanding these mechanisms allows us to see numbness not as flaw, but as a natural, biologically grounded response, one that balances safety with the innate human longing to connect, feel, and live within the quiet shield. A subtle struggle unfolds. The same numbness that protects from disappointment also isolates, creating a tension between safety and longing. A person may yearn for connection, for the warmth of unguarded joy, yet instinctively pull back, fearful of the inevitable hurt. Each step toward openness feels risky, each emotional reach measured against potential pain. This inner conflict is often silent, hidden beneath calm appearances. Friends may see composure, but beneath it lies a constant negotiation, a weighing of desire against caution. Resistance is not stubbornness, it is survival. The mind asks, Is it worth feeling this fully, knowing the cost? Even small gestures of vulnerability can trigger hesitation, a recoil from exposure. Paradoxically, this tension sharpens self-awareness. They notice what they avoid, what excites them, what frightens them. It is a delicate, almost invisible battle between fear and hope, between retreat and engagement. Recognizing this struggle is key to understanding the lived reality of those who numb themselves. A life of careful navigation, of silent resistance, and of yearning that persists despite protective instinct, a quiet testament to the human desire to feel, even when it is dangerous. There comes a moment, subtle yet profound, when the weight of the shield becomes visible. The protection that once felt necessary now feels constraining. They notice the cost of constant vigilance, muted joy, hesitant connections, a life half-lived. Awareness dawns slowly, often through reflection, relationships, or the quiet work of self-observation. This realization is not sudden heroism. It is gentle, almost imperceptible. A thought lingers. Am I hiding from the world or from myself? Questions arise not from judgment, but from curiosity. They begin to see the patterns of self-numbing and the small ways these habits have shaped their existence. The turning point often emerges through noticing moments of discomfort, flashes of longing, or the subtle ache of isolation. Recognition sparks insight. Protection is no longer purely beneficial, it carries consequences. For the first time, they glimpse the possibility that vulnerability, measured and mindful, can coexist with safety. In this quiet awareness, the mind and heart open to reflection. The shield is acknowledged, but it no longer defines the whole of experience. The individual stands at the threshold of change, aware of the risks, yet quietly curious about what lies beyond the barrier. Healing begins quietly, in the spaces between thought and emotion, in the gentle awareness of what has been guarded. The shield need not be shattered. It can be softened, adjusted, understood. Small acts of openness, tiny emotional risks, become exercises in reclaiming presence. A smile shared without calculation, a moment of trust extended, a feeling allowed without immediate judgment. These are the threads that reconnect the heart to life. Integration is not linear. It is a rhythm of patience, acceptance, and observation. The body, mind, and heart learn that vulnerability does not always lead to pain. Disappointment may still arrive, but it no longer carries the same overwhelming weight. The numbness, once a constant companion, becomes a choice rather than a reflex. Reflection illuminates the journey. One can witness the courage embedded in surviving emotional storms, the subtle bravery in maintaining hope behind the shield. And in this quiet contemplation, a paradox emerges. Protection and connection are not enemies. They are companions, balanced delicately, each informing the other. The story concludes not with perfection, but with gentle understanding. To feel fully, even cautiously, is itself a quiet triumph. Life, with all its fragility and beauty, is embraced, not with recklessness, but with tender awareness and mindful presence.